Okay, this is game 1, part 3. So this is the current position. If I scroll back to what had happened in the game, I believe this was where I left the game off. From here, we continue to push the pawn up because the pawn is still protected by the queen. We might as well force the move of the knight. We're just kind of creating this pressure. I think I was looking more at taking the pawn here if he was to potentially castle. Or really, this is about delaying his ability to castle. I don't want him to be able to castle short side. So we force him to move the knight, and I spot this move of knight to d3. So this is a check that can't be blocked. So we've actually prevented the castling. That is the importance of this move. It's also a great position to have the knight. We are threatening all of these squares in the middle of the board, which is on his side of the board. It makes it very uncomfortable for his position. Forces to move the king. We decided we had plans of attack with this bishop, which would be even better now that he's moved the king to that square, of playing the bishop to here to threaten this diagonal. Or the queen to this h4 column to threaten checkmate actually on f2 if he didn't defend that. But the thought process here was, before any of this, let's push the bishop to a different square. I don't like that the e-pawn that's guarding the knight that's forward, this outpost, is being threatened by the bishop. And while the queen has to protect that, I don't like that we can't move the queen. So I figure, okay, let's push the... Can we get rid of the arrows? Oh my god, I'm making more. Push the bishop away. He moves the bishop to this position, e6, where he has his own outpost with the bishop. This is extremely annoying because this prevents castling on either side. He can't threaten my king with this, but it's a very supporting position. I cannot castle on either side. It's actually very annoying. Here I decide to go straight away with the queen. I don't know, could have tried this position with the bishop here, but I think it's kind of easy to protect. He can't, he can't protect it with the castle, but he could put the queen here, I suppose. I don't know if that's particularly good either. So we decide to go with the queen. I thought he might move the queen to this position to guard the pawn, because this is not the best. He cannot take with this pawn, because I would take the rook for free. So he takes with this pawn. Annoyingly, I talked in the other video, this was all planned, expected as well, that I would use this h3 file maybe to check the king and all this, and I completely would have blundered because this is guarded by the light square bishop. So we go back to f6 and check the king. Just as a move to get the queen out of danger and then force his hand to move the king, just to not lose initiative at this point. So we're forced to move the king, and this is, well actually this is our current position. Now the obvious move here would be to play queen to f2. Forces the king to move to the only available space of the h3, but this is annoyingly quite well defended. Thought about moves like defending, sacrificing the knights to put a bit more pressure, but I can't place the queen to this square because of his own queen. Can only place the queen here, and then he's free to move back, or he's free to move down here, and this protects the pawn position. Not sure that's particularly good either. I suppose we can threaten this, but it's quite... If we just lose initiative once, it just becomes quite easy for him to defend, unfortunately. And we just cannot get our light square bishop into play because of his bishop. So we're looking at ways of kind of getting rid of that bishop if that's the case. So I'm not entirely sure if sacking the knight is the play here. We then looked at moving the pawn up. He could en passant here. Oh no, this was instead of moving the queen up. Yeah, so this was instead of moving the queen up. If he was to move the knight, he would essentially, he could put it here, I suppose. And that doesn't help either of us. That doesn't help me. I'm not sure it helps him particularly well either. Oh, he's actually setting up a nasty fork with the knight on this square. And annoyingly, I can't just castle to get out of it. I would have to move the bishop to that square. If I was to do this, I needed en passant. In this case, we would sack the bishop. And that would get rid of the bishop. So then we're not really solving the threat on the light square that way. If we were to do that, we would just kind of be even. I mean, it's an awkward position for him still, but my position is very open as well. We had this, let's say he moves this to safety. We had this position. Obviously, we'd lose the queen. But at some point, we could have that position. Yeah, not great. We thought about directly challenging the bishop here. Takes, and then he has to move this position. But we play absolutely no pressure on the light square bishop. It's very... Well, I suppose we would have that move. But he can just check, so we'd have to play the bishop first. He's got all this time to put the castle on this file, which is annoying. Yeah, so we could just go back to this move. You know what, we could even start doing moves where we just take pieces we can, like the pawn here. Just don't know if giving up initiative is, you know, the best. Thing to be doing. Seeing how these moves work out, they're not the best. Honestly, I have no clue. Is there a play where we get this into action? And I don't know what on earth he would do now. And just start getting stuff into play. I mean, this is a problem because of the castle though. I mean, there's also pushing the pawn up to try and get this castle into play, which actually might be the move, to be honest. Do we check, make him move, push the pawn up? And check, take. I honestly have no idea. Putting the other thing I thought about was just directly sack the bishop. He probably wouldn't even take it. He'd probably just pressure me with something else, and then I don't even know, to be honest. Don't even know. I have no idea what he'd do then. See, even that's protected. It's so awkward. Suppose you'd pull the castle back. See, this doesn't help. It just makes the... And this would be the plan possibly if we wanted the castle on this side, which I think you probably do. I think that should be the plan. I think we just like straight up try and trade the bishops. No, we can't castle on that side if we did that because we'd have to move that rook. I have no clue what to do.